Hello and welcome to the sixth and final part of our Origin of Eukaryotes lecture. So I want to tell one final story about this evolution of the algae using an example of the dinoflagellates and tell you how this example of dinoflagellates is even more crazy than we've talked about so far. So we talked about how all of the algae can be grouped into the green lineage and the red lineage. There are also these glaucophytes that are weirdos. So this diagram is showing the same concept as we saw in the previous diagram, where all of these algae can be classified into either green lineages or red lineages. These guys have engulfed green algal cells. These guys have engulfed red algal cells. And in this diagram also we can see some of the diversity of these algae with some of these weird names. We're going to focus on the dinoflagellates, who have a secondary endosymbiosis in the red algal lineage. And some of these dinoflagellates have engulfed also a green algal cell that then replaced the red algal cell. And so now they have switched into the green team. Okay, that's pretty cool. And yet other dinoflagellates are in the red lineage, and then they see another algal cell that is also in the red lineage. These are some of the haptophytes. Haptophytes are actually the group that includes the coccolithophores. So this is a dinoflagellate seeing a coccolithophore. These are the cells that have the white carbonate shells. And thinking, why don't I just put that whole cell inside my cell? It does so, and so now it not only has a red algal cell from this lineage, it also has a coccolithophore lineage in it that itself has a red algal cell in it. And so you have what's called a tertiary symbiosis with multiple different endosymbioses going on inside the same cell. I could try to explain that more about exactly how that would work and how many different cell membranes you need to have nested within each other. Check out this paper if you want to learn about that more. We don't really need to get into all those details in this course, but you should understand tertiary means one more level of endosymbiosis after secondary, and you should just appreciate how crazy that is. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about dinoflagellates themselves. Not only they're more than just their endosymbioses. They are important to our world. So here's a picture of a dinoflagellate cell. It has these flagella that are wrapped around it, around its middle, like this. The dino in dinoflagellate comes from the root meaning whirling, so it moves by twirling its flagella and kind of spins about its environment. They can switch between phototrophy and heterotrophy, so they can do photosynthesis with the chloroplasts they have due to their endosymbioses, but if it's dark, they can just do heterotrophy and eat organic matter that's around them. Some are kind of just like normal self-respecting algae that float around the ocean. Some are parasites, they can cause diseases, and some are endosymbionts of other organisms. Isn't that fun? Here are some examples of where dinoflagellates live in the world, and in particular, one example, which is coral reefs. So dinoflagellates are the organisms that include the zooxanthellae, which you have probably heard about if you've ever learned about corals. They are the algae that live inside the coral polyps that do photosynthesis and make basically the whole coral reef ecosystem work. Okay, and when the dinoflagellates are not happy due to poor water quality or increased temperatures, that's when the coral reef dies. It's because the zooxanthellae are not happy, and that's at least that's one of the reasons how that can work. So this is the same group of organisms. If you've heard of zooxanthellae before, they are dinoflagellates. They have tertiary endosymbioses. So here's a picture of coral bleaching. If you haven't heard about this before, I highly recommend this movie, Chasing Coral. It does a really, really good job not only explaining the science behind it, but it portrays some of the people who are trying to help the coral reefs, which are in a really, really bad state right now. Dinoflagellates are also the things that cause red tide. So especially in the southeastern US, you often get these blooms of dinoflagellates that turn the water red. So those are dinoflagellates that are doing that. Dinoflagellates can be bioluminescent, that is, they can glow in the dark. In some places, if you go and swim in the ocean at night, you can make it glow because the dinoflagellates have bioluminescence. And finally, I just wanted to end with another weird life of the day, which are these sea slugs. This is off topic. This is not part of the fundamental concept for this lecture, but it is fun. And it's another example of stealing photosynthesis from a different phylogenetic lineage. So these are sea slugs. They go about the seafloor eating stuff with their mouths. They often eat algae. And these particular types of sea slugs, when they eat the algae, they stick the chloroplasts from the algae into their skin, and then they can do photosynthesis with the chloroplasts in their skin. And some of them actually kind of look like leaves, which I honestly don't know if that's just a coincidence, that they look like leaves and they have chloroplasts, but pretty cool anyway. And another example of how biology is full of examples of organisms stealing the ability to do photosynthesis from other organisms. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you later.